Thanks for coming down and hanging out in the basement with me today. We've got something interesting. This is a customer repair. This is a 1994 Lionel RS3. Happy holidays, it says on the side. I'm going to show you a page out of the catalog. Definitely a cool looking locomotive. Would also have an optional caboose that you could have bought with it, which I think is pretty cool. I'll have to buy one of these days. I like this. But I know I don't normally do customer repairs. I reached out to this person, Scott is his name, after I saw a posting on a Facebook group, and it seemed like an interesting problem. So I was like, hey, you want to send me the locomotive, and I'd like to do a repair for the channel. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So let's dig into this guy, and we'll hopefully figure out what's wrong with it. Here is a view of the locomotive. It was built or sold in 1994. And overall, this is a pretty lightweight unit. It's got a switch on the bottom for the horn on or off and direction control. The problem Scott was having with it was it basically slowed down, I believe, and then it wouldn't work. And he found that this board, the diodes on it were damaged, which generally indicates that either the transistors have shorted or a massive amount of current has gone through to cause these suckers to overheat. We're going to try to fix this guy too. So he went out and bought another board from trains.com, and he said it ran for a little while and then it just stopped running and just the lights come on. Now, I took a cursory look at this, and I don't know if you guys are spotting anything or not, but one of the things I'm spotting, and this is just me from looking, the wheels turn fine. When I look at this motor up in here, for some reason this motor has a longer shaft on it, which is unusual to me. It should be just flush with this, considering that this one is flush. So we could have an issue with one of the motors. Another thing that caught me is, I believe this is a support for the body here. There's a wire pinched under it, which might not mean anything. But we've also got a wire pinch there, and we've got a wire pinch there. And again, this is just cursory look. I have not had the shell off, but let me power on the transformer here. Okay, now you should be able to see the amp gauge and the volt gauge, and we'll just kind of see what it does here. I don't have anything else on the track. Let's try the horn. Okay, the horn works. Okay, so we are inactive. Just the lights are working, like he said. Let me switch the direction switch on the underside, because that was currently set to off. So we want the direction switch to be on. Scott also said the motor, the shell, was getting quite hot. So something's up with that board in there. Are we fully on? Back is not on. Alright. Bonk. Hit my head on the light. Alright, now let's see what it does. Okay, we are still inactive. We are not getting anything here. Okay, let's take off the shell and see what we find. So take off these shells. There's a couple screws at the front and a couple screws at the back, and I can tell, even though these are screw holes, there hasn't been any screws in there ever. You'd see some wear marks on it. That screwdriver's a bit big. Let's go with this one. Okay, there's that guy. That one fell in there. There we go. Alright, let's see what we find. So we've got the speaker up here. We've got some lights and stuff. Alright, so pinched wire here, but it doesn't appear to be broken. This is the board for the sound. This is the board for the motors. Certainly not burnt like the other one was. Seems pretty good. We could have a broken wire. That could cause some issues. Let's get some of this out of here. Let me cut the zip tie off. Alright, what do we got? This is such a mess. So the blue and the white are for the reversing lockout switch. And coming up from below, the red and the black connect to the motors, and the blue and the yellow connect to the wheels and the power. So how this board works is the black and the red go out to the motors, and the gray and the brown here are the track power. And these guys are supposed to be for the reverse lockout. Next thing I want to do is disconnect the motors, and we will test them separately. Like I said, it could have been, you know, the grounded out wire going to the motor, which took out this board too. Alright, so let's disconnect some wires here. First off, got the black. Just gotta make sure I get this wired right, otherwise I'll be looking at a wiring diagram. So, the front motor red is connected to the rear motor black, which goes to the black on the reversing board. I will be looking back at this video for sure. And the front motor red, or excuse me, and the front motor black is connected to the rear motor red, which goes to the red on the reversing board, which makes sense to me. That's fine. And let's just grab a 9-volt battery. Alright, this one is pretty strong. And this one over here is not. This one's very weak. So I've got another reverse board here that was sent to me by a viewer, a couple of them. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. We've got the outputs connected to one motor. Let's tip this on its side here. And then these are the inputs for it. Let's see what it does. Now the switch is open position, so that should be correct for it. Let's hit it. Forward. Doesn't sound the best, but not terrible. Let's try the other. Well, that's going about the right speed. I'd say it's okay. Oh, what the heck? You guys believe that? I just like kicked into high gear. This is the type of motor I can pull the back off of, so I think I'll probably dig into that. Slow. Now it kicked into high gear. There's no speed regulation in that motor. I think we need to clean that motor out. Alright. So we are making some great progress here. Well, kind of a surprising result, huh? The new board that he put in Friday. Probably one of the transistors is bad, but I'm going to test that and see if we can get that board working, plus his other board. I definitely want to try to fix this guy too. But, man, that front motor, that was weird. started out slow and then kicked it into high gear, I think there's probably some contamination in there, but let's take a look at that. Got the wires disconnected for the front truck. Of course, I could just replace the motor or find a different motor or something, but let's see if we can fix this one. I don't believe I've taken one of these apart. Might have. It might be similar to other stuff I've worked on. This doesn't seem too bad. Ah, yes, that's right. It is similar. We got screws there, so... Yeah, that's a Mabuchi motor. That's good. It's really kind of unusual. So, we gotta get those screws out. So what I had to do to get this motor out was, after I peeled this guy off, I had a little more room to wiggle these gears around, and I was able to just get my screwdriver in here and rotate these screws and back the motor out, so I'm wondering if that's broken too, because this piece is riveted on here, but well, it certainly works. But let's take a look at this motor. This is the correct kind of motor, I believe. Mabuchi is what they used, but yeah, it shouldn't have this long shaft on it. Is that 2 gears? Alright, no. Just the way it looked here, it looked like there was 2 gears stacked on top of each other. That's just the grease, so. Okay, got a series of flat blade screwdrivers here. We'll see if we can prise one of these guys up. This looks like it should be about the right size. There we go. I've popped quite a few of these motors apart in my time. Not Lionel ones, but that's Mabuchi style. I think we're going to find brush contamination. Oil or something. Again, another lesson I learned the hard way. Now, of course, I could just buy a different motor or buy a different truck. Charge Scott for it, but let's see if we can get this figured out. Just trying to get the brushes past probably a washer or something. I don't think we can get in there with anything. I don't want to mangle the brushes. Oh, okay, we can see in here. Alright, cool. My magnifying glass is on. Here we go there. And you don't want to force anything here. There we go. Excellent. It doesn't really... Well, we got a lot of carbon built up on here. Brushes look good. Tension's good. We didn't mangle them, so that's good. So something I forgot about these Mabuchi motors is that they include a post. That's what these holes are for. You set up the brushes, you assemble the motor, and then you take a toothpick or something, push down the brushes, and they lock in place. So I hit this with electronic cleaner, and now I'm just going to hit the brushes with a fiberglass pencil. Just to try to get any remaining crud off of it. And these weren't horrible by any means. Lots of brush material, unlike... I don't know if you guys have seen today's motors, but the cheap ones, they don't have brushes on them. They just use thin arms that have, you know, like are nickel plated or something, and that's your brush. Just a very thin arm, thinner than these. Kind of junk, really, but oh well, built to a price, I guess. Yeah, and we got some dirt off of there. those look pretty good. Now, because I did clean this with electronic cleaner, the bearing will be dry. That is, I think that is like an oil light bearing, so I will put a tiny, tiny bit of oil on the back side of the motor once I assemble it, but that's it. And this other motor over here I'm not going to touch. I'll clean the gears and everything. Unless it's squealing or something, I'm not going to touch it like this. Okay, this is good. Now to clean the commutator here, cleaned up really nice. I just wiped that with some naphtha and then cleaned it with my usual Scotch-Brite and then cleaned the grooves. So we've got a big washer and a mini washer. That's why you gotta get the brushes way out there like that. Keeps the brushes in check, and it also keeps oil from contaminating the brushes, or at least a small amount of oil. Okay, excellent. That looks good. I could hose out the interior of this with, electronic cleaner, but I don't want to. Let's take a look at the wires in here. Everything looks okay. Nothing looks bad. Alright, so we got a notch here that we got to find where it goes. There it is, right on the negative. We just assemble it like that. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll bend these tabs in first. That'll lock in the brush plate. Of course, you can only do this a couple times, but these tabs are at least nice and thick. Unlike another thing on modern motors, they don't crimp them like this anymore. They just do like a little tiny crimp all the way around the edge. It makes it really hard to service, but cheaper to mass produce. Okay, our plate is still a little loose. Try not to stab myself. Whenever you think you're about to stab yourself, you probably are, so it's good to stop. That is good. Might be a little too thin, but I can see the pieces in there, so we'll try it. There it goes. Click. See if you can hear it. There it goes. Where's our 9-volt battery? Let's try the 9-volt battery test. This is a DC motor. Make sure the wire's touching the terminal. Sounds healthy to me. Yep, that is healthy and strong. Excellent. We saved another one. Alright, now I probably shouldn't even bother doing this, but I'm going to put the tiniest amount of oil on here. It's because I know I cleaned out the others. Oil would have been washed away. I want just a little bit. There. Work it in a little bit, wipe off the excess, call it good. Alright. Now for this guy, reason why I'm not pulling off the wheels is it just causes trouble when you go to put them back on. They might not be tight enough, or they might not be on perfectly straight. So I'm going to probably wash this out in the garage with some naphtha and go to town on it. We'll bring you back when I get it all together. Got everything reassembled back together. No extra lubrication on this, and everything cleaned up really nice. Really happy with how this motor is working. Let me do a little test for you here. We'll put it upside down. This is the same junky old 9-volt battery I got. Spin it the other way for you. Yeah, it's pretty good power. So now this one's running so good. If we check this other one out, it's not running as good. Some of that, of course, is old lubrication. Let's see, let's spin her the other way. It's still strong, but of course, I'm going to end up going through this motor as well, which is no problem whatsoever. But thought you guys would enjoy seeing that. So I'll just put a little lubrication on here. And I'm going to put oil on where the gears rotate. And this oil will work its way to the back side as well. Just put a little bit on the back of this center gear. Get some up under there. I left this hat a little loose. I didn't want it to cause extra friction. And we'll put a little bit of oil where the shafts, or the axle shafts, rotate here. And then we're going to put a little super lube, or grease, or whatever you want, on some other spots. So that's just oil. Let's see if it sounds any better. It might not. Let's see here. Yeah, sounds a little smoother. Sorry, I got my glove in the shot here. Sounds nice. Alright, so a little bit of super lube. Just a little bit. We don't need much. So we want to put super lube where these wipers ride on the axles. Just a little bit. Just a thin coating. Put a little bit on this one. This helps reduce friction. And then we'll put just a little bit on the gears, and that is going to get distributed across all the gears. Don't need a lot, because that just attracts dirt. And carpet fiber and everything else. Maybe a little more. Okay. I'll toss a little oil on the rollers as well. But let's give that guy a shot. I don't think it'll sound any different, but we'll see. It's the red and the black. That's a little quieter. Really happy with how this is working out. Like I said, I'll go through the other one, I'll pop the other motor apart, and we'll see how they compare. Okay, so I got both of them together, and the front one now is much speedier than the back one. And remember, before, the front one was the sluggish one. So when I took this motor apart, the coloring of the windings were faded compared to this guy. So these are different motors. I mean, this one's got a much longer shaft for some reason. I talked to the owner and he said he bought this brand new. So they just grabbed whatever motor they had in a big pile at the factory. So this could have been a mismatched motor to begin with, but if we hook them up with the battery, you can hear the difference. This is the fast one. And this guy is the slow one. Now they're both strong, so no issue there, but I'm going to work on the circuit boards and put her together and see how it works. What a mess we have here. But it's okay. It's really pretty simple. What I've done is I've separated the wires that go to the motors, and we've got, by default, these are the wires that go to the track. So I've got my known good board here just for testing purposes. We're just going to get this thing hooked up so we can buzz it around the track, look at the amperage, and see if it's going to live a healthy life, which ideally the motor should be matched, but if they're pretty close, we'll be alright. So these are the outputs, these are the inputs, this is the lockout switch. Okay, there we go. let's turn on power, move you by the transformer, and we'll watch the voltage and the current. One of the quirks of the MTH Z4000, or quirks, it's actually a safety feature, but if you leave a handle up and you power it on, you'll actually get the red overload light, which says, hey buddy, you left one of the handles up. So as soon as you move the other both handles down, it resets, and then because I've got the remote control here, it goes into a little hold waiting for the controller, but we can also use the manual here. So let's see if this works or if it fights itself. See if I got it right. Okay. So 5 volts and we're going, so it's not that big a deal. We're running over a paper towel even. Wow, what a deal. That's hilarious. So yeah, 7 volts, 0.4 amps. It's running real good, very effortlessly. That board that I pulled out of the spare parts pile is also junk, but it exhibits the same behavior that this circuit board in here exhibited when I got this. I made a great video on this, on how I fixed this circuit board. Basically it needed a new chip on it, but since this is an older unit, but it's got the exact same motors, same drive system and everything, so it's a good benchmark. So if we send this around the track, we're doing 0.4, 0.5 volts. Even 8 volts here. It's doing real good. Very low amps. So, this thing is running great. This is the benchmark locomotive. We put this on the track. So 8 volts, 0.4 amps, 0.5. So this one actually runs better than that one does. Of course, the voltage is going to drop. It's going to take a little more volts because we got some got a headlight in there, but I think it's going good. This is a locomotive from 1992. Notice we've got the same kind of motors on it, same kind of trucks and everything, same power board inside. Let's see what this one does. Alright, so powered on. Yeah, this one actually draws more, probably because of the 2 headlights. Here is the finished result of cleaning up all the wiring. It was actually pretty straightforward to do. What I did was I just laid all the wires on the side. This bundle here is all the wires for the motors and the reverse unit switch and the horn switch that's on the underside here to turn it on or off. Those got into one bundle. And the other 2 wires, those are for the wires the power wires that come from the track. 2 from the front truck, 2 from the back truck. And the big thing that really helped was straightening out the wiring for the lighting. That was just kind of a mess because Lionel had some really long wires, and so I just brought it all together with this heat shrink tubing. I didn't shrink it down, didn't need to, and then brought it to here and then cut it off all the same length, and that worked out really good. Well, there you have it. Repairs are complete. I'm super happy with how this is running. The difference between the 2 motors, I guess the engine's actually okay with it. As long as they're both kind of pulling their weight, it seems pretty happy. So, electrical load, pretty reasonable. I test ran this for a half hour, and I checked the sides of the engine here where the reverse board is, and it's just a little bit warm. Nothing serious. I also checked the motors. They're both cool. And then I ran it for another half hour, right back to back. Going flip the engine around, going the other direction. And the same thing. Working really good. Just kind of a very little bit warm where the reverse unit is. And again, the motors smelled fine. Yeah, give them the sniff test, of course. And yeah, everything's working good. So, you got any questions, let me know. And yeah, thank you very much for watching.